Welcome to the Practical Architect. This is going to be a sound information for the homeowners, entrepreneurs, and architectural students. What does the architect do? The architect prepares the drawings that are necessary to build the building. There are many different areas of the building that the architect needs to know and he needs to work on. For example, involvement in site, involvement in landscaping, elevations of the building, how the building relates to the sun, to the wind. He has to design the building that is going to be sturdy and strong enough to stand, but also there are so many technical details in the building that the architect needs to know, like mechanical systems, electrical systems, plumbing systems. All these kinds of things have to be taken in consideration in order for the building to be sound and usable. In order for an architect to work, he has to have education, he has to have experience, and he has to pass the state license exam. In order to have education, he needs to finish at least bachelor's degree in architecture from accredited school. He needs to have several years of experience working in architectural firms under supervision of other architects. And then after that, he's allowed to take a license exam. After the license exam, he can become a partner in the firm or can have his own office. When an architect gets qualified to take a license exam, he usually takes the exam in the state where he plans to do the most work. At the same time, he can get a national license. National license really incorporates the license in the state, but also give him a chance to get reciprocity and get license in many different states. I was originally licensed in Washington, D.C. The following year, I got licenses in state of Virginia, Maryland, and I got national license that I could get license any other place in the United States. I worked at least in about 15 or 20 different states because I had projects in those states. When an architect is working on the project, or when he has his office, he has to have an insurance. It's called insurance for omission and negligence. This is in case of architect misses something or doesn't do something correctly and there is a problem during the construction, the owner has right to recover the losses. Architects always start from overall concept. They're interested in making the project look good. A lot of architects try for a project to be exceptionally different than anything else, and they spend a lot of time doing that. On the other hand, practical architects try to do what is the best for the owner. If I'm doing the house, I want to make sure what the owner needs, and I will design it in a way that will be the best for the owner's use. And that depends on so many different things that the owner has. How long he wants to stay in the house, how many children does he have, how many guests does he usually get. All these things have to be incorporated in the practical design of the house. I consider myself practical architect. I have been doing architectural business for over 50 years. My projects include just about everything, from small decks to high-rises, hospitals, schools, churches, entertainment centers, restaurants, anything that needs to be built, I was involved and I was doing it. Another very important part of the overall is the budget. The owner has to know what kind of budget he has in order to do it. So architect may guide him and tell him roughly what kind of prices would cost if he had 1,000 square feet or 5,000 square feet. But actual prices we will determine only after the drawings are completed and they're given to contractors for pricing, because then they go into detail and checking the materials, the labor needs to be done, and that determines the actual cost of the building. In order for an architect to work, he needs to get paid. Overall construction cost is really the most important thing to the owner. The architectural fee is only percentage of that. It costs a lot more to build a building than to design it. So architects only get paid small percentage of the overall cost of the building. For example, the fees can vary anywhere from 3% to 15%. All depends what kind of project it is, how complicated, and how large. The larger projects would be less, the smaller projects would cost more percentage-wise, but not necessarily as a total price. Some architects are involved only in architectural concept and architectural design, but they do not go into other details that building needs, like mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. They would hire other consultants to do that. But in that case, there is a lot of work going back and forth among several people, so it takes longer time and costs more money. What I try to do is on smaller projects like house addition, even new houses, restaurants, I can do just about anything that needs to be done in order to get building permit. I do architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing work that is necessary for that particular project. I apply for the building permit. I work with the building department to make sure that everything is approved. After we get a building permit, the contractor is hired and he can do the work from those drawings. Those drawings are good for permit and they're good for construction. Most architects do not do that. Most architects would hire separately. Even for small things, they would hire separately mechanical, electrical, and structural engineer to do certain parts of the building, and the owner has to pay that separately. Another aspect of design is interior design and landscaping. They're usually used on more monumental projects, like maybe hotel. They may want to have interior designer to make selection of furniture, to make selection of decoration in the main lobby. He does work with architect, make sure that it is working well, but he may come up with a different visual concepts that he can present to the owner. Some projects require a lot of landscaping work. Site engineer can do landscaping work, but usually the landscape architects that are more specialized in refine a selection of plants, in which area, what plants work better, what kind of things the plants will achieve. Are they going to create the barrier between the house and the surrounding? Are they going to be something nice to look at? Is there going to be a park to walk through? But those are usually outside consultants and they're usually paid directly by the owner. If I'm dealing with a customer who wants a residential project, for example, he wants to build a new house or he wants to build an addition to existing house and he just wants to remodel the existing house without making an addition. All these things could be done. But then I have to talk to the owner in details about how he lives, what he wants to achieve, how many children does he have, how many visitors does he have coming to his house that he needs to accommodate. Because some people have family all over the country, they come to visit, they have to have room. So all these things have to be taken in account. The other things that we have to look at is the site. What size of the lot it is, what kind of restrictions are on the lot. Sometimes there is a zoning requirement, every county or every state has zoning requirement, and they dictate the setback lines, or if there are any easements, or if there are any part of the land that cannot be used that we have to stay away. For example, if there is a water close by, the house may have to be 120 feet away from the water line. After architect finds from the owner all these different requirements that he has, and he checks all the conditions of the site, he usually prepares preliminary drawing for the owner to see how it is going to look like. What is good about preliminary drawings, that's the time to make changes in many different directions. Because once the owner sees the actual plan, he may say, oh, I would like this to be a little bit bigger. I'd like this to be a little bit smaller. Can we just turn around? Can we move this from here to there? So all these things are done during the preliminary stage. And preliminary stage is the most important part of the design, because this is when the concept and the actual house was decided on. After that are technical things. Once preliminary drawings are fixed, there should not be changes anymore, because if owner halfway through construction drawings decide to make changes, then a lot of things have to be reworked, and that is expensive process. When an architect meets with a commercial owner or entrepreneur, the first thing he needs to know what the owner or entrepreneur needs to achieve. Is he building a restaurant, an office building, gymnasium, and then what does he want to achieve with his project? How many people need to go in? If it is a restaurant, he needs to know what kind of kitchen equipment does he have. He has a whole list of kitchen equipment are required to be given to the architect so that he can put all these things together. Is it for his own use or is it for investment? Is it somebody else going to run it or is he going to run that business? Because that is very important in the design, because design is different. If somebody is going to run his own business, there's certain things that he is doing only his way. But if it is somebody else running, then we have to make project more general so that anybody can run that business successfully. When architect and the owner decide on preliminary drawings to be fixed, then architect goes into the second phase, which is designing construction drawings. Construction drawings that consist of structural, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing drawings, and architect in that case needs to consult the building codes for the particular area to make sure that everything is in accordance to the code, because code dictates a lot of things for safety, for energy conservation. So all these things have to be taken in account. Once the construction drawings are completed, the architect submits the drawings to the building department for review. Different counties have different building departments. They have a little bit different requirements, but they're pretty much the same. They all follow the code and they review the drawings to make sure that there isn't anything that doesn't meet the code in their opinion. If they find anything that they're not clear on, they will have a question to the architect. Architect takes all those questions and makes sure he answers them properly so the building department is satisfied, and then after that building department issues the building permit. The building permit is really licensed to the owner to build what he's planning to build. Then the contractor starts the work, and then contractor has to follow all the drawings and all the details that are designed by an architect and approved by the building department. During the construction, architect may be involved with the contractor to help him out. Like he is available for questions. If contractor doesn't understand certain things, sometimes contractor may ask where he can buy certain materials that the architect designed that owner is not familiar with. Some more experienced contractors don't need that. They know right away when they see the drawings, they understand where the materials are, where they can get them, and they can go ahead and do the job. Some large projects, usually for the large companies, may require architect to be a construction manager. In that case, architect works directly with all subcontractors. In my experience, I had several projects like that I have done, but they're usually very large projects. Like we're talking about something like $5 million, $15 million projects. Architect is pretty much present on the job site on regular basis. He may even have a representative every day on the job, or the architect will come once a week and get together all the main people from all those different trades and have a meeting and go over all the details, what needs to be done next, who does what, and who coordinates with whom. Overall, architect has to have a clear understanding what is going on. If somebody would like to hire me as an architect, he can contact me and we can discuss many different things that I have done all over the country. I have small ones, large ones. I used to do Papa John's pizza all over the country. In Florida, I did probably 24. Papa John's pizza was far away from Washington, DC, where I was. But they would send me the address of the project. They would ask me, can you do Papa John's pizza in the state of Oregon? I said, I think so. So I would call state of Oregon and say, what do I need to get licensed? They would tell me what I need to get my reciprocity license. I send the application, I get approved. Then I get the drawings from the existing building in Oregon State. I design Papa John's pizza, send over there, I get the permit. And I don't even go to state of Oregon. In Papa John's pizza, they did work with many architects. but they used to call me architect who can get permit in any state.